The Baran Workshop of Brilliant Light is releasing very soon, and today I'm going to be showing you all of the best hunters that you should consider building so you can defeat Baran with ease. And let's talk about all of your best damage dealers. And considering Baran is going to be weak to wind and also the dark element, it does mean a character like Amamiya Mirei is going to be probably by far your best choice. As Mirei's ultimate skill, when it does apply the possessed buff to yourself, it's going to be really good and it will give you a ton of damage due to its ability to reset your skill cooldowns and also reduce their cooldowns even further by 3% whenever you do use your basic attacks. And also not to mention Mirei's ability to increase her basic skill damage by up to 30% through Kurua's Darkness, which is done by whenever she has over 66% or more of her maximum MP. But it is also Mirei's advancement dupes, which are going to make her even better, of course, as her A1 and also her A3, and getting her to especially to A3 is going to be the thing that you want to get the most. As with her A1, when you're in your possessed state, you'll be able to increase your crit rate and also crit damage by 20% as well, so amazing buffs already. But what you can also do is basically when you use your first basic skill, you can also then apply the deep darkness buff as well, which will increase your attack and also crit rate by another 12%, which can stack up twice as well. And then her A3 doesn't necessarily offer damage, but what it does offer is the ability to charge your mana points and also power gauge by 1% whenever you use your basic attacks or core attacks. Silvermane Bakuno is going to be probably one of your best dark DPSs for you to use, as his extreme attack beast form is going to be a really good way of buffing your attack and also attack speed by 30%, as his basic and also core attacks are going to be his main source of damage. And then also when you combine that buff with his A0 passive, which can basically also increase the damage of your basic attack and also your core attacks by 40% whenever you deal damage to any target who has the bleed debuff or the curse of magic beast, then you'll be able to get a ton of damage out of that. And then also he can increase his own skill damage as well by up to 50% depending on how much HP he's actually lost. And then when it comes to his advancement dupes, I think the only thing that you really need is going to be his A1, as this will increase his crit rate and crit damage by 3% every 1 second for 12 seconds, and this is applied through using his second basic skill again. And then also the A1 does also have a bunch of sustaining effects as well, which will be pretty useful. Charlotte will also be another amazing DPS for you to run, as all of her value pretty much will come from her ultimate skill, Take This, due to its huge amounts of damage that you can deal with it. And it is also because of the fact that she can charge her ultimate in a completely different way to literally any other hunter in the game, as on her A0, her ultimate will become available after using your tier 3 basic attacks twice, and this will have a 40-second cooldown, so it's a little bit shorter than your regular ultimate skill as well. But that 40-second cooldown can actually then be halved through her A1 advancement dupe, as it says whenever the user uses their tier 3 basic attack one time, your ultimate will instantly become available and will have a 20-second cooldown. And then also whenever the user uses Isla's Dance, which I believe is her first basic skill, you can then also increase your dark damage by 15%. And then the final option is going to be Lim Tae-gyu, although he's going to require a lot of investment. As similar to Charlotte, pretty much most, if not pretty much all of his damage is going to come through his ultimate skill, which is Quick Attack Typhoon Fire, and this will basically allow him to enter something called Sniper Mode. And this will basically just allow him to spam his basic attack a ton, which will deal a lot of damage as you can fire the projectile 8 times. And it is through this buff that is how pretty much Lim Tae-gyu deals most of his damage. But the reason why you do probably need to invest into him quite heavily is going to be because of his own exclusive weapon called Intercept, as his weapon will allow you to increase your attack stat by 6%, which can stack up twice, which overall will give you a 12% attack increase. However, at max dupes, you can also then increase the amount of stacks that you can get with the attack bar from 2 to actually 8, which means with his weapon at 0 dupes, you're going to be able to stack a little bit of attack, but then once at max dupes, you can stack an absolute ton. For your break damage dealers, I feel like Wu Jinchul is going to be the most popular option, as literally everyone gets him for free, as there's not really too much to say about Wu Jinchul apart from the fact that he does just a really good job in supporting the win team, as he has the ability to create shields for your team, which is pretty good, as well as dealing a lot of break damage. And if you really do have him at A1, you're going to get way more value out of him, as it basically says Mediation of Power will gain a skill effect change, which will basically increase its break effect and also damage by 100%, and also it can then be used up to 3 times as well. So not only are you getting more damage, but you're getting more break damage, and then also because you're using more skills, it does then mean you can get even more core attacks as well, which is also good because it then inflicts stun on your enemies as well, which will allow you to give yourself a bit more time. Harper will be your best break damage dealer for the dark element, as Harper is the only hunter in the entire game to have almighty break damage on one of her basic skills, which instantly will give her a ton of value. But it is also because of the pork chopped debuff that she does does apply, which will increase the ultimate skill damage from Dark Hunters by 1%. And then with this being a debuff that applies to your enemies, it does mean your whole entire team can benefit from it, assuming they are a Dark Hunter, of course. And this can stack up to 12 times, which means you can get 12% damage increase for your ultimate skills. And she can also just deal a lot of damage in general, as she has the London Drift buff, which will increase her damage. And she can also increase her critical hit rate and also critical hit damage as well, just through her A0 passive alone. And then for advancements, I really do think the only one that you'd really want would be her A1, as the shield that you get equal to 50% of your HP is going to be really, really good. As if you didn't know, shields will give you super armor, and then because of her second basic skill, the Tenderizer, having a long duration, it does mean it normally at A0, it'll be pretty difficult to not get hit out of it, which means this will apply a ton of quality of life. But also the max number of hits for your second basic skill, the Tenderizer, will increase by 4, as well as also the skill damage will increase by 120%. Which finally brings me on to all of the best supports for the Baran boss fight, and the only healer out of the wind and also dark element is going to be Han Semi, and she is really good as she has a lot of residual healing within her kit through her first basic skill, and also the lifeline buff that she does apply through her ultimate skill as well. And then she also has the ability to recover your team's mana points as well, which is really good, as well as also apply a shield, which is also going to be amazing. But then what she also does is through her A0 is she applies the breath buff, which will basically increase your entire team's basic skill damage by 10%, and then will also additionally increase your whole win team members' basic skill damage by another 5% as well, which will be 15%. But what is also good is you can also then stack this twice, which will give you a 30% basic skill damage increase. And then finally for her advancements, the only thing you'll ever need to worry about is if you have her A1 or not, as basically whenever any person on your team will use that ultimate skill, you'll be able to apply the sharp breath buff to you, which will basically allow you to increase your crit rate by 1% and then your crit damage by 1%, as well as also charge your power gauge by 1% as well. And then for the 2 crit buffs that she does apply, they can stack up to 10 times. And then the best support for the dark team is by far going to be Lee Bora, without a doubt, as Lee Bora can remove debuff zones with her first basic skill, as well as increase your whole team's dark elemental damage by 10%. And also she's one of the only hunters in the entire game that does have off-field damage through her Phantom Foxes. And then through her passive as well, she has the ability to apply the Charm debuff, which will increase the damage that your enemies take. And then finally for her advancements, the most important ones you're going to want are going to be her first 3, as her first one will allow you to get more Phantom Foxes, which will give you more damage in general. Her second one increases your crit stats, and then her third one will allow you to increase the amount of usages that your first basic skill can have, as well as also the skill's range and also its damage by 40%. Which then leaves me with the final hunter that you should definitely consider building for this game mode, and that is going to be Park Hee-jin. And for Park Hee-jin, all of her value will come through her advancement dupes, as her A1 will allow you to cleanse debuffs from your entire party, her A3 will allow you to charge your entire team's power gauge, and then also her A5 will allow you to instantly fill your ultimate at the start of battle, which means you can trigger the buffs through her own exclusive weapon very easily. So there you have it, those are all of the hunters that I would recommend that you consider building for the new Baran Workshop of Brilliant Light, which will release very, very soon, and thankfully there's a lot of different options that you can use. But overall, if you did enjoy this video, then don't forget to like and subscribe and click the link down below to support me as a creator. But most importantly, I will see you all in the next video. Peace!